Hello, all. This is Vinoy Krishna, and we are going to start with yet another session of the Toppers Talk. It's always a pleasant feeling to have the ones we have mentored to be coming here to be speaking about their experience of the preparation so far. So, the purpose would be to allow this discussion to ultimately lead to the distillation of some good points which the forthcoming aspirants could use in expediting their journey to success. Here we have today with us BENJO P JOSE, the rank 59 in this year's UPSC result. I extend my hearty welcome and many congratulations from the entire team of Vajiram and Ravi. Congratulations, BENJO.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So, to start with, how has the reaction and response been, both from you as a person for this result and also for the family and the society around?
Sir, the day the results came, there was obviously a sense of, for a very brief moment, there was a sense of joy because it was very surprising for me. So that was there. But then after that, it kind of moderated. And then internally for me, it's more or less the same now. I'm obviously relieved that I don't have to go through the entire process again. But apart from that, it is not suddenly the world has not changed for me. But around, definitely my parents are happy, relatives are happy, everybody is happy, and I am happy for them. But even my parents also, I think they're over it, and both of them are working. They are currently in their offices working. So initially it was very good. It was very there was beautiful, beautiful and happy, and then it moderated.
Awesome. Good. To start with, when did it first occur to you that civil services is going to be your future goal?
So I think it was only after college that I dedicatedly wanted to prepare for civil services. While in college, I did think about it, but then I did not get enough time to prepare along with college. After graduating, about 1 year after graduating, that is when I joined Vajiram for anthropology optional course. And it was about that time, and in 2019, 2020, that I decided to sit for civil services and prepare. So
Okay.
after college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you briefly give the listeners your entire experience? How has it been for the preparation?
Okay.
Because you have taken a few attempts at it. And how have you as an aspirant evolved in the entire process?
Okay. So I've taken 4 attempts. My first 2 prelims I could not clear. First prelims was in 2020 October. Then 2021 I could not clear that either. In 2022 I cleared the prelims and I cleared mains as well, and I went till the interview. But I missed the final list by 15 marks.
Okay.
And then this was my 4th attempt, 2023, and I cleared with this 59th rank. How I have evolved over the years, it's very difficult for me to speak in a
short
brief,
frame. Yeah,
brief
I agree.
duration. But then I certainly think that I've evolved for the better. I've developed a lot of qualities from the time I was freshly graduated out of college to the current moment. Adulting happened for me while I was preparing. So a lot of qualities I've imbibed while I was preparing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been your preparation strategies, and if at all you could give us a skeletal structure of it, and how in the subsequent attempts you could figure out some of the mistakes that you could have been making and improved upon it?
So my initial strategy was to prepare everything on my own. And the problem with that was that guidance and mentorship was something that I did not give importance to. Nor did I have, conceptual clarity in everything. So preparing on my own, doing everything by scratch was the initial approach, but it did not help a lot for me. And this was the first mistake that I understood. And when I understood that, I took up small courses module courses from here and there. I read a lot of all the basic books. And in this way, I tried to tick the first box of UPSC preparation, which is understanding the basic concepts and getting proficient in the basic books. Second, in the subsequent attempts, I understood the importance of PYQs, because initially I did not give a lot of importance to PYQs. So in the subsequent attempts, I understood the importance of PYQs. Then a third mistake that I made, I've just spoken about it. It was not getting guidance or mentorship. So from my third attempt, I tried to talk to people, as much people as I could, and I tried to take from them what what would be good for my strategy or my approach. And that was the third thing that I did. And the fourth thing was I identified that ethics and anthropology was the biggest loggerheads for me to clear civil services. So I gave dedicated time for both of them. And these are very briefly 4 of my mistakes in how I tried to change my approach or strategy in order to fill in the gaps because of these mistakes.
All right. Could you just add on to that with respect to the GS preparation, of how you could segregate your preparation vis-a-vis the prelims and the mains? How could you include the notes making strategy into it, the test series, when to take it, and when to start with the sincere answer writing and getting it evaluation?
So for GS, I did not follow a very traditional, conventional approach. So I did not segregate prelims and mains in that way.
Right.
I just read all the basic books. I understood the concepts, and whichever areas I could memorize, I memorized. And that was that. So I just cleared prelims. My first prelims, when I cleared, I had no idea what to do for mains. And this is the problem when you do not think ahead.
Yes.
But I had some idea, and I did something in the limited time what was available, and I did clear mains. But again, GS was all right for me, even after very little preparation and very little notes. I'll tell about notes just in a brief moment. But I just cleared the general cutoff by 1 mark, just by 1 mark. So irrespective of having a very good score in interview, I could not make it to the final list.
Yes.
So this was the problem of not having correct notes or adequate preparation for mains before prelims. I think that is very important. I did not do that, and it cost me an attempt. Now, in my 4th attempt as well, I had the same problem, because I was freshly out of interview, very fresh prelims, then only 2 or 3 months to prepare for mains. This is when I try to do some new thing, not new, but everybody else is also doing it. I try to do it in a very different way, which was brainstorming. So you asked about answer writing.
Right.
I did not write a lot of answers before prelims. After my first, after the first prelims that I cleared, in my 3rd attempt, I wrote daily answers, and I also attempted a test series. But I only did about 8 or 10 tests in that test series. In this attempt, I only did 2 tests for GS and only 2 tests for anthropology, because I knew I could not read everything, understand everything, then take a dedicated 18 or 15 length number test series, do it, get it evaluated, everything. So rather than that, I depended on PYQs and just brainstormed all the questions. That was my main thing. And every 2 or 3 days, I would write answers, maybe 2 or 3 answers. That was my approach. This was made by me because of the necessity, and not because it is a very traditional way or conventional way. I'm not saying that everybody else also should do it.
You innovated a method.
I innovated a method there. It worked out for me. I did the same thing in my 22 attempt as well. I did not, because I did not have notes. I tried to brainstorm there as well. So, and that helped me. I scored 385 then. And so I knew that if I do it a bit more, then maybe I could learn a bit more, or maybe score a little bit more marks. So in my 23 attempts, I did that. and I scored 423. So that's about 60. Significant increase. Now about note making. So like I said, I did not have notes for mains. But what I did between my prelims and mains was I collected all the value addition things. And examples are committees, judgments, and case studies. I also, during this, between the prelims and mains, I read the newspaper. So before that, I was not regular with the newspaper. Not regular with the newspaper. But then after prelims, I read the newspaper and I used to collect examples or ideas or some good opinions from editorials. And I used to store them in my Evernote. I made an Evernote folder there.
Okay.
It was very random and assorted. I did divided it into syllabus. So GS1 there's society, or GS2 there's polity.
Right.
In polity there's judiciary or something else. Let's say parliament. Any good opinion comes about parliament in the newspaper, any editorial about, let's say, parliamentary, the hours that the parliament sits for has consistently been declining, and there is an opinion by some expert about how to increase it. I would just keep it there. I would not make a whole note about parliament. Just this extra stuff I would keep in the Evernote and I would save it. And before mains, I would revise this very short Evernote, folders or notes. And that was my mains notes. Again, I made this because I innovated this due to paucity of time.
Yes.
And what I did is I clubbed these notes with the brainstorming. So when I'm brainstorming, I would think about points that I noted in this Evernote. Committees, I would forcefully think about, okay, what committee have I noted? And when I did that over and over again, the muscle memory
got created.
And so in the final exam also, I could bring those points. But one caveat or one, word of caution that I want to tell people is that I'm not saying that you should not write answers. Definitely write answers. But when you write answers, think about the objective for which you're writing the answer.
Perfect. Yes.
My objective was to finish the paper on time. See if I could do the intro, body, conclusion format. See if I could get maps for other things into the answer. If that was done, I was fine. The way in which I could get multiple dimensions and diverse points for the answer was not dependent on answer writing for me. It was on brainstorming.
That I believe also because you must have been confident about your writing skills, about your ability to present the stuff logically.
Yes.
Which rather I believe is a result of your entire schooling and the way you have evolved through the college also.
Yes, correct.
So someone if is not good at it requires that a little more.
Correct.
Right? Rather than just following a template necessarily. Fine. Now let us go a little more specific. How about the optional paper? Like what criteria did you have in your mind before you zeroed in on the optional? Because what I can see is you are a mathematics graduate and you did your preparation from anthropology.
Yes.
So did you have any particular checkpoints on the basis of which you made that choice?
So before choosing the optional, I had very few options or choices. One was maths because it was my graduation subject. The other was philosophy because I liked philosophy. Then the other was sociology, anthropology, and I did not consider PSIR because I was not very ardently interested in IR. So it was very limited. And I eliminated mathematics pretty early on because even though I did a graduation in maths, I was not very interested in pursuing it as in my masters or to study the whole of mathematics for 1 year for preparation. Not very interested in that. Secondly, I heard that the syllabus was very long, lengthy, and you require a year-long preparation for that. Third, also because it did not have significant overlap with GS. So that's why I took maths out of the equation. How I came to anthropology within philosophy and sociology and anthropology was that anthropology had physical anthropology in it, which had some elements of biology, some elements of drawing and labeling. And so I had biology in my 12th,
Okay.
and I liked drawing. So that was initially the interest of taking anthropology.
Okay.
But then I was also interested in the socio-cultural part. I was interested in evolution of human beings. I was interested in evolution of social institutions. I read that the Sapiens book by Harari.
Yes.
I read Anudeep Durishetty's blog. So all of this made my interest to anthropology increase. The other reason was that when I graduated out of college 2018-19, a lot of AIR 1s and 2s were coming from Anthro. So Durishetty sir in 2017, then Akshat Jain sir, and then other people also. So then I realized, Lakshmi Nagappan ma'am, so then I realized, okay, it's a very scoring subject. So, okay, I have interest to pursue it for, let's say, 2 or 3 attempts if I have to. Secondly, it'll also fetch me marks. So those were the 2 primary criteria why I chose anthropology.
Okay. And how have you been scoring in anthropology in your attempts?
Okay, so like I said, first 2 prelims I could not clear. First mains I scored 239. I think it was 128 in paper 1 and 111 in paper 2. And in this attempt, I scored 303.
Oh, that's an awesome score. I think this should be one of the maximum in
Yes,
the
yes.
lot. Have you reaped the rewards of choosing anthropology in the GS, in your interview, essay writing and all as well?
So definitely, I would say, I can't concretely point out to areas or questions which would have helped me, in GS or essay or interview. But the overall approach that anthropology entails, so to speak specifics, the cultural relativistic aspect, epistemic aspect, these are participant observation aspect. All of these are things we study in anthropology, and I think they have great relevance for administrators in general and people also. And these created the overall, helped in the overall approach to GS interview and essay.
Right.
But even then, I could speak of very concrete questions also. In GS1, this time there was a question about tribal policies and how British policies and how it impacted tribals. All of that answer was from my Indian anthropology or my tribal anthropology preparation. All the legislations, everything, all of that answer was from anthropology itself. So it helped me not just directly, but also indirectly.
It's like getting the dividend from the share that you have invested.
Yes.
Good. Okay, one aspect, like you had one attraction for anthropology backed by your 12th biology. But for many people who come from, mathematical sciences or humanities or commerce, and are very popular with the engineers, one of the concern they have is how comfortable would it be to cover the physical anthropology, the biology part of it. So, how easy it is to negotiate through that part of it. Is it actually difficult?
So I think there is this overemphasis on the biology aspect or genetics aspect when it comes to physical anthropology. Certainly, we must understand concepts like recombination, translation, everything. We must understand the concepts, but it is not very concept heavy when the exam is asked.
Yes.
It still has, anthropology is a holistic subject. So even if a person does not have deep inroads into biology, they could still score well if they connect with other parts of anthropology, such as sociocultural or Indian anthropology or archaeology for that matter, or anthropological theories for that matter. So there is this misconception that biology is required for anthropology. No, physical anthropology and biological anthropology is required for the exam and not biology.
That is exactly what it should be like. Okay.
Yes.
Very nice. And then more so, there are many concepts that you have studied in anthropology, the physical anthropology, that has direct overlap with what you anyway study in your GS.
Correct.
You see the genomics and the genomic project report that is coming out, the applications. So as an anthropology student, you feel blessed that, okay, you are already done with those concepts.
Correct.
Benjo, there is one concept, one issue. Like, there are people who might be very well academically success, earlier, and UPSC being a multivariate game many a times will knock you down. At some of these stages, you get a little underconfident whether are you designed enough for this process. I believe you at some of these stages must also have had those tough times. How did you figure out the solution or the ability to walk out of that phase?
So first 2 attempts I could not clear prelims. So that was when I was the lowest. And but how I came out of it is, I knew that I did not clear prelims because I had not put in the effort. I knew areas, gaps, places where I should put in the effort. I knew what to do based on, like I said earlier, talks with other people, strategies of other toppers, and just basic common sense. I knew, okay, if I do this, there is this very high chance that I would clear. So I just put my focus on all the things that I could control. So I told myself, let me do the controllables. Let me just control the controllables. Let me do the basic books. Let me do the PYQs. Let me revise. Let me do absolutely what is absolutely necessary. The external thing, the result, whether UPSC finds me fit or not, I am no one to control it. I cannot control it even if I want to.
True.
So that approach, it's like what Bhagwan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
That, just put in the effort sincerely. Do not think about the result.
True that.
And as my attempts happened, I just focused on that. Now, this is a very philosophical thing to say. People will say, but still you'll get depressed. Still you'll get sad. And yes, I did get sad. I did get depressed. At that time, I talked with my friends. Sometimes I talked with my friends. I am also a person who loves exercising. So I used to go to the gym. I found out meditation while I was preparing. So I did Anapana meditation on and off, maybe daily, sometimes when I could not do it daily, on and off. I also took therapy once, just about 1 month, just before my 2022 prelims. So that, yes, there is anxiety, there are things out of my control. What are some scientific, psychologically established ways for me to control it? So I did take therapy as well. So all of this helped me over preparation to cope up with stress and problems. But at the end of the day, I think it was this constant sense of, or this constant need to improve my own game rather than depending on the external factors.
Perfect. So what I can sense from you, all through the journey, you have been more inward looking.
Yes.
And you always have got to have an attitude of being solution oriented rather than cribbing about the
Correct.
problems. So
Correct.
as long as you keep finding that these are the things that could have been bettered, I
Correct.
think you always will have the fuel enough to
Correct.
remain
Correct.
motivated.
Correct.
Perfect. Coming back to the optional, like to arrange your daily schedule with the GS and optional is a difficult task. When to give a little more dominance to the optional preparation, when to allow it to be at the back burner and give the GS the prominence, and when to bring it back again, the notes making, the test and the answer writing in that. How could you orient your optional preparation vis-a-vis the GS?
Sir, I did my optionals first. I did not, I tried doing GS along with it. Very difficult for me. I tried reading the newspapers again, very difficult for me. So I just did the optionals first. Again, when I did it, when I completed it, I was not the perfect person. I was not anywhere near scoring even a 200 in optional. I kept on increasing while I was reading GS. So my strategy was that. But looking back, I think for forthcoming aspirants, the best way, if you have a 1 year time gap to prepare for UPSC, would be in the first 3 or 4 months, or maybe 4 or 5 months, finish your optional, be absolutely thorough and good at it. If you have already joined a course, then continue it. But again, focus more on the optional in that first 5 months. Finish it. Maybe just read the newspaper if you can. Just read the newspaper. When you're doing the optional, I would say finish the notes along with doing the optional. And then after you've completed the optional, switch to complete prelims cum mains.
GS.
Yes, GS. And then you do it till maybe January or February. And from March onwards or February for some people, do your just for prelims. After you clear prelims, again do optional as well as your GS alongside. This would be the year-long strategy. Yes.
And you have been also doing the value addition in your anthropology preparation for those periods?
Yes.
How?
Yes. So value addition happened over these 4 attempts. Ever since my first attempt, again, like I said earlier, I could identify all, I had gaps and gaps and gaps. Even while the results came this year, I was preparing for the next attempt. I had bought D.K. Bhattacharya's a famous book in archaeology. I was reading that. So I was keeping on identifying gaps, and in those gaps, I was adding on content. Added a lot of content from everywhere. The content that I fetched was primarily from topper notes. I did not read many, in fact, any of these standard basic books that were prescribed for anthropology. I did that for GS, but for anthropology, it was just all the topper notes. I kept on reading all of the topper notes, kept on adding value from there. Secondly, I also added value from EPG Pathshala, it's a famous website.
Yes.
I added value from IGNU notes. I even added value from IGNU notes for sociology and EPG Pathshala for sociology. So I read that as well. A lot of points I got from there. So this I kept on doing. I did a lot of Wikipedia search also. Random websites I would find. In fact, now I'm not able to recall all of the names of the website. I did a lot of search and websites, and I also read a lot of articles from JSTOR. I read articles from JSTOR, cited them, adequately in my paper. This was the value addition.
Good. I mean, you have done quite an exhaustive work on that. So how much part of this anthropology is dynamic? I mean, it requires you to be always on your toes looking for some of the current updates or something.
Sir, I think, in my opinion, 0 or maybe 5%,
very less,
very less.
So that way it holds a lot of advantage in that front. All right. Wonderful, Benjo. I think you have given quite an exhaustive coverage to all. Now, before we wrap this up, what could be some pointed advices for the aspirants who want to take it up in the future, if at all?
Sir, I think the general advice would be to, like I said, be very honest with yourself. When you are very honest with yourself, you could identify your gaps.
Yes.
And when you honestly identify your gaps, accept and acknowledge that I do have certain limitations here. And there is no honor lost if we ask somebody who has better knowledge than us or who has greater experience than us. So identify the gaps, acknowledge the gaps, seek help. And this will help in the long run. Secondly, sir, every other person talks about this, which is focus on the low-hanging fruits, focus on the absolute basics, the simple things, focus on the concepts, focus on basic books, focus on, if you're optional, in your optional, focus on conceptual clarity. Third would be PYQs, both for prelims and for mains. People run after mock tests and all sorts of other random things. But to understand the psyche of UPSC, to understand how they ask questions, it is absolutely essential that we must learn PYQs, be with PYQs over and over again.
Yes.
Those would be my 3.
Very good.
Yes.
It has been great talking to you, Benjo. I mean, you have been very good at formulating strategy, working it out, and you have shown a good philosophical balance that as an aspirant you would require, and I'm very sure it will also help you a lot in becoming a very good bureaucrat that the country needs.
Thank you so much.
We all wish you a very successful career. I just hope that we keep getting to read a lot of the wonderful job that you do, and we keep getting to talk about you more often.
Thank you so much, sir.
Loads of wishes. Thank you. Thank you.